do the left side now. So you're pressing that low back down into the floor, stomach tight, as we draw the left knee into the chest and circle that left ankle all around.
The 1980s were packed with bold trends that defined a generation. From jelly shoes to slap bracelets, these fads were everywhere until they faded away. Today, we're diving into 22 forgotten fads from the 1980s that once ruled our lives. How many of these forgotten fads do you still remember? Let's dive in. Jelly shoes. If you were a kid in the 1980s, chances are you had at least one pair of jelly shoes or knew someone who did. These brightly colored, translucent shoes made of PVC plastic were all the rage during the summer months. First introduced at the 1982 World's Fair in Knoxville, Tennessee, jelly shoes quickly caught on thanks to their unique look and affordable price. You could find them in department stores like Sears, Kmart, and even in local drugstores for under $10. Their low cost made them accessible to everyone, and they came in a variety of colors, from neon pink to glittery gold. But as popular as they were, jelly shoes weren't exactly known for their comfort. Anyone who wore them for more than an hour remembers the sweaty, blistered feet they often left behind. Still, that didn't stop them from becoming a summer staple for kids and teens alike. You could spot them at the beach, in the park, or just about anywhere kids were running around. Despite their decline in the 90s, jelly shoes never completely disappeared. They made a brief comeback in the early 2000s and can still be found today, marketed as retro fashion pieces by brands like Urban Outfitters. Slap bracelets. One of the most unforgettable trends of the late 1980s had to be slap bracelets. With their neon colors, wild patterns, and that satisfying snap as they wrapped around your wrist, these simple accessories quickly became a playground obsession. Invented by a Wisconsin shop teacher in 1983, slap bracelets were made from flexible steel covered in fabric or plastic, and they took over schools almost overnight. You could pick them up just about anywhere. Toy stores, gas stations, and even corner shops stocked them. Kids would trade different designs at recess, collect as many as possible, and proudly show off their growing collections. But despite their popularity, slap bracelets had a flaw. Low-quality versions would sometimes expose sharp metal edges, leading to cuts and bruises. As a result, many schools banned them, and their meteoric rise ended just as quickly as it began. Even though slap bracelets faded from school playgrounds, they've made occasional comebacks over the years, often reappearing as nostalgic accessories or even trendy hair ties. For those who grew up in the 80s, the memory of that snap still brings a smile. Parachute pants. If you were into breakdancing or just wanted to look the part in the 1980s, parachute pants were an absolute must-have. These shiny, lightweight nylon pants were designed for maximum movement, making them perfect for pulling off those slick spins and flips. Originally worn by breakdancers, they quickly became a streetwear staple thanks to their flashy style and practicality. You could find parachute pants in all sorts of colors and styles at stores like JCPenney and Macy's, with some even featuring zippered pockets and bold designs. The material, made from ripstop nylon, similar to the kind used in actual parachutes, was durable, lightweight, and flexible, allowing for ease of movement. These pants became so iconic that brands like Bugle Boy cashed in on the trend, making them even more desirable and upping their price to $25 to $40 per pair, which wasn't cheap at the time. What set parachute pants apart wasn't just the style, but their association with hip-hop culture. Shows like Soul Train and movies like Breakin' gave these pants a massive boost in visibility, and soon everyone wanted to emulate the style of their favorite dancers. The trend extended beyond just breakdancers. Pop stars and fashion-forward teens started wearing them, solidifying parachute pants as a key part of 1980s street fashion. You could even spot them in urban music videos and on stage during live performances. Members-only jackets. If there was one jacket that defined the 80s, it had to be the members-only jacket. Introduced in 1981, this slim-fit nylon jacket with its signature epaulets and ribbed cuffs became a status symbol almost overnight. With the tagline, "When you put it on, something happens," the brand managed to capture the imaginations of fashion-forward men and women alike. Everyone from high school students to celebrities like Michael Jackson was spotted wearing one. Available in an array of colors, these jackets were sold at department stores like Macy's and Sears, and their appeal wasn't just about the style. They were marketed as exclusive, giving the wearer a sense of belonging to something bigger. By the mid-80s, members-only jackets were everywhere, even appearing in TV shows and music videos, making them one of the most sought-after fashion items of the decade. The brand also made a point of aligning itself with social causes, launching campaigns like encouraging people to vote in the 1986 elections. They even created limited edition jackets for special events, further boosting their appeal. And if you wanted to really stand out, wearing your jacket slightly unzipped with the collar popped was the way to go. Cabbage Patch Kids. No toy captured the hearts of kids in the 1980s quite like Cabbage Patch Kids. These soft-bodied dolls with unique faces became a nationwide sensation shortly after they were introduced in 1983. What made them stand out was that no two dolls were alike. Each came with its own name, birth certificate, and adoption papers, giving kids the feeling they were adopting a real baby. The demand for these dolls was so intense that it led to chaotic scenes in toy stores during the holiday season, with parents scrambling to get their hands on one. Cabbage Patch Kids weren't just toys, they became a cultural phenomenon. You could find them advertised on TV, sold in every major department store, and even featured in their own animated specials. Xavier Roberts, the creator of the dolls, originally started selling them at craft fairs, but when toy company Coleco took over production, they exploded into the mainstream. What many people might not know is that Cabbage Patch Kids were based on Roberts' earlier line of handmade Little People dolls, which he crafted by hand before mass production. The success of Cabbage Patch Kids not only dominated the toy aisles, but also set the stage for the craze over collectible dolls for years to come. Swatch Watches. When it came to expressing personal style in the 1980s, Swatch Watches were the go-to accessory. Launched by the Swiss company in 1983, these bold, colorful wristwatches were a far cry from the traditional serious designs the Swiss were known for. Swatch Watches were all about fun, featuring bright colors, quirky patterns, and even clear plastic cases that let you see the inner workings. It wasn't uncommon to see people wearing multiple Swatch Watches out and stacking them up on their wrists as fashion statements. Swatch stores popped up in major cities across the world, and soon, these watches were on the wrists of teens, pop stars, and trendsetters. Limited edition designs and collaborations with artists like Keith Haring made them even more collectible. If you wanted to stay ahead of the curve, a Swatch was a must-have accessory. They were relatively affordable too, compared to other Swiss watches, which made them accessible to a broader audience. Swatch watches also played a crucial role in revitalizing the struggling Swiss watch industry at the time. Their success helped reignite global interest in Swiss-made products, ensuring that the legacy of Swiss craftsmanship lived on, even in a playful, pop culture-driven format. Big hair. When people think of 80s fashion, one of the first things that comes to mind is big hair. It wasn't just a style, it was a defining look of the decade. Both men and women embraced towering hairdos that required a serious amount of teasing, curling, and of course, hairspray. Brands like Aquanet became household names as people aimed to achieve the highest and most voluminous hair possible. Big hair wasn't limited to one group either. It crossed cultural and social boundaries, from the rock stars of glam metal like John Bon Jovi and Poison to TV personalities and Hollywood stars. Even pop icons like Madonna and Cyndi Lauper helped push the trend, sporting massive teased locks in music videos and live performances. Achieving the look took time. People would spend hours in front of the mirror with teasing combs, curling irons, and cans of hairspray to perfect their style. This trend wasn't just about fashion, it was a rebellion against the simpler, more natural styles of the 1970s. Big hair was bold, loud, and unapologetically extravagant, fitting perfectly with the larger-than-life vibe of the decade. Hair salons were always packed, as people went in for perms or professional styling to keep their locks looking fresh for the weekend. Leg warmers. Leg warmers were a defining fashion trend of the 1980s, and you didn't need to be a dancer to wear them. While originally designed for athletes and dancers to keep their muscles warm during workouts, leg warmers became a must-have accessory for anyone looking to stay in style during the decade. Thanks to the aerobics craze, fueled by fitness icons like Jane Fonda and her famous workout videos, leg warmers quickly moved from the gym to the streets. You could find them in a variety of colors and fabrics, often made from knitted materials or synthetic blends, and they were sold in stores ranging from high-end department chains to budget-friendly shops. They weren't just practical, they were a key part of the athleisure look that became popular at the time. Paired with leotards, tights, or even worn-over jeans, leg warmers added a pop of color and flair to any outfit. Neon versions were especially popular, helping to tie in with the vibrant, bold fashion palette of the 80s. While leg warmers eventually fell out of favor as the fitness trend evolved, they remain a memorable symbol of the decade, often appearing in 80s-themed parties and throwback events. Popped collars. Nothing says 1980s preppy fashion quite like the popped collar. This trend, which became a staple of the decade, was all about standing out and showing off your status. Most commonly seen on polo shirts from brands like Ralph Lauren, Lacoste, or even Izod, the look of the popped collar gave off an air of casual coolness. It wasn't enough to just wear a nice polo. Popping the collar was the finishing touch to the outfit, transforming a simple shirt into a fashion statement. The trend was most popular among the preppy, yacht club-inspired fashion culture that dominated certain social circles. You'd often see people pairing their popped collar polos with khakis, boat shoes, and sweaters tied around their shoulders. Some even took it a step further, wearing 2 or more polos at once, with each collar popped, layering the colors for extra flair. Popped collars were everywhere, from college campuses to country clubs, and this trend transcended gender, with both men and women embracing the look. It was a symbol of confidence and effortless style, fitting perfectly with the aspirational, yuppie culture of the 80s. While it faded by the early 90s, the popped collar remains one of the most memorable and parodied fashion statements of the decade. Friendship bracelets. Friendship bracelets were more than just an accessory in the 1980s. They were a symbol of connection, loyalty, and individuality. Made from colorful threads woven into intricate patterns, these handmade bracelets were exchanged between friends as tokens of their bond. Unlike mass-produced jewelry, each friendship bracelet was unique, often crafted with care and creativity, making them highly personal and meaningful. These bracelets became especially popular among teens and preteens, who would spend hours crafting them by hand, using simple materials like embroidery floss. The process of making them became almost as important as wearing them, with kids exchanging different patterns and techniques. You could find friendship bracelets in a wide range of designs, from simple stripes to more complex chevrons and diamonds. Entire books and magazines were published on how to create the most intricate patterns, and many kids took pride in perfecting their craft. Friendship bracelets weren't sold in stores. This was a fad driven by DIY culture. They represented more than just fashion. They symbolized lasting bonds, making them popular at summer camps, schools, and sleepovers. The practice of trading them strengthened social ties, with some friends stacking multiple bracelets on their wrists as a display of their friendships. This simple trend became a defining feature of 1980s youth culture, leaving a colorful mark on anyone who participated. Scrunchies. In the world of 1980s hair accessories, scrunchies reigned supreme. These fabric-covered elastic hair ties were not only functional, but also fashionable, becoming a must-have item for anyone looking to keep their hair stylishly out of the way. What made scrunchies so popular was their versatility. You could find them in all kinds of colors, patterns, and materials, from satin and velvet to neon fabrics that perfectly matched the bold aesthetics of the decade. Scrunchies weren't just for keeping your hair up at the gym. They became an essential part of casual, everyday looks. Whether worn in a high ponytail, a side ponytail, a look that defined the 80s, or even just around the wrist as an accessory, scrunchies were everywhere. You could find them in stores like Claire's, drugstores, and even department stores, and they were often sold in multi-packs, allowing you to mix and match depending on your outfit. Part of their appeal was their gentleness on hair compared to traditional elastics, which could pull and damage. Scrunchies, with their soft fabric, offered a kinder alternative while still being trendy. Celebrities, including pop stars like Madonna and TV characters from shows like Saved by the Bell, helped elevate scrunchies to an iconic status, cementing their place as a defining accessory of the era. Mood rings. In the 1980s, mood rings were a fascinating mix of fashion and fun, tapping into the decade's obsession with self-expression. These rings weren't just accessories, they were supposed to reveal your emotional state, changing color based on your body temperature. The science behind it was simple. The liquid crystals inside the stone would shift in response to heat, displaying a spectrum of colors that supposedly reflected different moods. Blue for calm, black for stress, green for relaxation. Every color had a meaning, and kids loved trying to interpret what the ring said about them. Mood rings were found everywhere, from mall kiosks to local jewelry stores, and became especially popular among preteens and teenagers who enjoyed the idea of wearing something that could reveal a hidden side of themselves. The rings were usually set in simple metal bands, with the stone being the centerpiece, often featuring vibrant colors that would shift throughout the day. Though the accuracy of the mood readings was questionable at best, that didn't stop the rings from becoming a fad that tapped into the 80s fascination with personality and identity. They were affordable, easy to wear, and came with an air of mystique that made them an instant hit. Whether or not they truly reflected your mood rings provided a bit of playful fun, turning something as simple as body heat into a personal experience. Acid wash jeans. Few fashion trends from the 1980s stand out quite like acid wash jeans. With their distinctive bleached out look, these jeans became a wardrobe staple for anyone trying to capture that edgy, rebellious vibe. Originally created by soaking denim in chlorine and pumice stones, the result was a marbled, faded appearance that quickly became a hit among teens and young adults. The jeans often featured high waists and baggy legs, fitting perfectly into the oversized, bold fashion of the decade. Acid wash jeans weren't just for casual wear, they were seen everywhere, from school hallways to MTV music videos, and even on stage at rock concerts. Bands like Bon Jovi and Def Leppard helped popularize the look, making it synonymous with the glam rock and heavy metal scenes of the time. Brands like Levi's and Guess capitalized on the trend, offering acid wash versions of their most popular denim styles, including jackets and skirts to complete the look. What many might not realize is that the process to create acid wash jeans was originally developed in Italy by a company called Rifle Jeans. However, it was the 80s fashion scene in the US that truly took the trend to new heights. Pair them with a band tee or a leather jacket, and you had the quintessential 80s outfit. While the fad eventually faded out in the early 90s, acid wash denim left a lasting mark on the fashion landscape, forever linked to the rebellious spirit of the 80s. Zubas pants. In the late 1980s, if you were looking for comfort and bold style, Zubas pants were the ultimate choice. These loose-fitting zebra-striped pants became synonymous with the fitness and bodybuilding culture that exploded during the decade. Originally designed by two Minnesota bodybuilders, Zubas pants were created with athletes in mind, offering a comfortable, flexible alternative to tight-fitting workout gear. But what started as functional gym wear quickly turned into a fashion statement. Zubas pants were instantly recognizable for their wild, over-the-top patterns, most notably their signature zebra stripes in loud neon colors. They were sold at sporting goods stores and fitness outlets, and soon made their way to mall clothing stores, appealing to a wider audience. Athletes, weightlifters, and even professional wrestlers embraced the trend, making the pants a common sight in gyms and sports arenas across the country. The NFL also got in on the trend, with Zubas producing pants featuring team logos, solidifying their status as part of sports culture. Despite their somewhat outrageous appearance, the comfort and ease of movement Zubas provided helped them gain a cult following. The pants became a go-to for anyone looking to stand out while staying comfortable. While they eventually fell out of mainstream fashion, Zubas pants remain an iconic symbol of late 80s and early 90s workout culture, remembered for their unique mix of practicality and extreme style. Rubiks Cube. The Rubiks Cube wasn't just a toy in the 1980s, it became a worldwide obsession. Invented by Hungarian professor Erno Rubik in 1974, it wasn't until the early 1980s that the cube hit American toy stores and exploded into a full-blown craze. With its simple yet maddening design, the Rubiks Cube challenged kids and adults alike to solve its colorful, twisting puzzle. The goal was straightforward: align all 6 sides so that each face is a single color. But what seemed simple at first quickly turned into one of the most frustrating challenges of the decade. The cube could be found everywhere, from classrooms to coffee tables, and there were even competitions to see who could solve it the fastest. Toy stores like Toys R Us and KB Toys couldn't keep them on shelves as the puzzle became one of the best-selling toys of the decade. For those who found the challenge too tough, books and guides offering how to solve tips became almost as popular as the cube itself. What many might not realize is that the Rubiks Cube sparked the beginning of the speed cubing community. People began timing their solutions, creating a subculture of competitors racing to solve the cube in record time. To this day, the Rubiks Cube remains one of the most iconic toys ever created, a symbol of 1980s ingenuity and fun. Roller disco. The roller disco craze was one of the most iconic and energetic trends of the late 1970s and early 1980s. Combining two of the biggest pastimes, roller skating skating and disco music. Roller discos became a cultural phenomenon where people glided around in rhythms to pulsating beats, flashing lights, and mirror balls. From local roller rinks to urban skating hotspots, the fad drew in everyone from teens to adults looking to have fun and show off their skating skills. Roller discos were more than just places to skate. They were social hubs where people could meet friends, dance, and compete in skating contests. Famous venues like Flipper's Roller Boogie Palace in Los Angeles and the Roxy in New York became synonymous with the trend, and soon, roller rinks across the US were packed with people looking to embrace the disco era. Even movies like Roller Boogie, 1979, helped catapult the trend into the mainstream. Beyond just recreation, roller discos were a fashion statement too. Skaters would often dress in flashy outfits, complete with knee-high socks, glitter, and headbands, embodying the flashy, carefree spirit of the time. The smooth flow of skating combined with the energy of disco music made for an unforgettable experience that encapsulated the essence of early 1980s fun and flair. Walkman. The Sony Walkman wasn't just a device, it was a revolution in how people listened to music. Introduced in 1979 and exploding in popularity throughout the 1980s, the Walkman made it possible to take your music on the go for the first time. Compact, portable, and powered by AA batteries, it allowed people to listen to cassette tapes anywhere, whether jogging, on the bus, or just walking around the neighborhood. It was the epitome of personal freedom in an era where music was typically confined to bulky stereos. The Walkman became a cultural icon, especially among teens and young adults who loved curating mixtapes to suit their moods. You could find Walkmans everywhere, from electronic stores like Radio Shack to department stores. Owning one meant you were part of the modern world, and having the right tapes or mixtapes was just as important as having the device itself. Music genres like new wave, pop, and rock filled the tapes of Walkman users, with artists like Madonna, Prince, and Michael Jackson being frequent companions in their headphones. Sony's innovative marketing pushed the Walkman to iconic status, and soon it wasn't just a gadget, it was a symbol of the 1980s lifestyle. Whether walking through the mall, riding bikes with friends, or tuning out the world, the Walkman was the soundtrack to a generation, shaping how people experienced music. Teddy Ruxpin. If you grew up in the 1980s, chances are you remember Teddy Ruxpin, the talking teddy bear that captured the hearts of millions of kids. Launched in 1985 by Worlds of Wonder, Teddy Ruxpin was no ordinary stuffed animal. He had the ability to read stories to children, thanks to a built-in cassette player in his back that moved his mouth and eyes in sync with the audio. It was as if your favorite teddy bear had come to life, creating a magical experience that no other toy could offer at the time. Teddy Ruxpin quickly became one of the hottest toys of the decade, and by the 1985 holiday season, he was at the top of every kid's wish list. You could find him on the shelves of toy stores like Toys R Us, but parents often struggled to get their hands on one due to high demand. Along with a variety of cassette tapes and storybooks that brought Teddy's adventures to life, the bear became a multimedia sensation, even spawning an animated TV series in 1987. What made Teddy Ruxpin truly special was the way he blended storytelling with technology, making it feel like you were sharing a personal moment with a friend. His impact on 1980s pop culture was immense, and while the technology may seem simple by today's standards, for a generation of kids, Teddy Ruxpin was pure magic. Pogo Ball. The Pogo Ball was one of the more unusual yet memorable toys of the 1980s. It was a simple concept, a rubber ball sandwiched between a sturdy plastic disc where you would place your feet using balance and bouncing to hop around. Created by Hasbro in the mid-1980s, it quickly became a playground sensation as kids embraced the challenge of mastering the toy. With a bit of practice, you could bounce around like a pro, showing off tricks and competing with friends to see who could stay on the longest without falling. The Pogo Ball came in bright neon colors, reflecting the bold aesthetics of the decade. You could find them at toy stores like Toys R Us and in department stores, often displayed with kids hopping around in advertisements. Part of its appeal was the combination of physical activity and fun. It wasn't just a toy, it was a challenge. However, mastering the Pogo Ball wasn't easy. Kids who weren't quick to get the hang of it would often wobble or fall, leading to some scraped knees and frustration. As other toys and trends gained popularity, the Pogo Ball slowly faded into obscurity, but for a time, it was a must-have toy that had kids bouncing around their backyards and neighborhoods. Shrinky Dinks. Shrinky Dinks were one of the most creative and engaging craft fads of the 1980s. Introduced in the late 1970s, these sheets of polystyrene plastic allowed kids to create their own designs, which would then shrink down in size when heated in the oven. By the 1980s, Shrinky Dinks had become a staple of DIY craft kits, letting kids turn their artwork into miniature charms, keychains, jewelry, and decorations. The appeal was in the transformation, the magic of watching your creation shrink and harden into something small, solid, and permanent. Shrinky Dinks came in a variety of themed sets, from cartoon characters to holiday designs, and were sold in toy and craft stores nationwide. All you needed were some markers, colored pencils, and a bit of imagination to bring your designs to life. After decorating the plastic sheets, they were placed in the oven, where they would shrink down to a fraction of their original size in just a few minutes. The result was a durable, colorful piece of art that kids could show off or use to decorate their rooms. While Shrinky Dinks may seem simple by today's craft standards, they were a huge hit in the 1980s, providing hours of fun for kids who loved making personalized creations. Their popularity waned as the decade progressed, but the unique charm of Shrinky Dinks remains a nostalgic reminder of a time when simple crafts could feel magical. Viewmaster. Although originally invented in the 1930s, the Viewmaster became a massive hit with kids during the 1980s, thanks to its reinvention as an essential toy for immersive storytelling. The iconic red Viewmaster viewer, with its round reels of tiny slides, allowed kids to experience 3D images from popular movies, TV shows, and even nature scenes. Each reel contained a set of images that, when viewed through the lenses, transported kids into a mini virtual world, long before virtual reality was even imagined. In the 1980s, Viewmaster reels featured popular characters like He-Man, Barbie, and Mickey Mouse, making the device an essential part of playtime. Kids would eagerly collect reels that told stories or showcased their favorite shows, and swapping reels with friends was a fun way to experience different adventures. Viewmaster wasn't just for entertainment. Educational reels showing animals, historical landmarks, and outer space were also popular, blending fun with learning. You could find Viewmasters and their reels in toy stores, department stores, and even in gift shops at national parks. Its simple but fascinating design captured the imaginations of kids everywhere, making it one of the most cherished toys of the 80s. Though other technologies eventually overshadowed it, the Viewmaster remains a nostalgic piece of childhood for those who grew up in that decade. The Clapper. The Clapper was one of the quirkiest yet memorable gadgets of the 1980s, known for its catchy jingle, "Clap on, clap off." This sound-activated device allowed people to control their lights or appliances simply by clapping their hands. Released in 1984, the Clapper became an instant hit, especially among those looking for convenience or just a little fun with their home electronics. It was particularly appealing for people who wanted to turn off their lights without getting out of bed. You could find the Clapper in electronic stores and late-night TV infomercials, where its simplicity and ease of use were heavily marketed. The commercials became iconic, showing someone clapping twice to turn off a lamp or activate a TV, creating a sense of futuristic control over the home. While the technology may seem basic by today's standards, at the time, it felt like a leap toward home automation. The Clapper wasn't without its quirks. Sometimes loud noises or random sounds could trigger it unintentionally, but that didn't stop it from becoming a household name. Its affordability and novelty made it a popular gift item throughout the decade, and while more advanced technology has since surpassed it, the Clapper remains a nostalgic reminder of the 80s fascination with convenience and quirky inventions. The 1980s were more than just a time. They were a collection of memories that shaped who we are today. The sound of a Walkman playing your favorite mixtape, the thrill of roller discos, and the joy of sharing a game of Pogo Ball with friends. It was an era of carefree laughter, neon colors, and moments that seemed to last forever. Do you ever wish you could go back to those simpler days? If these memories warmed your heart, join us on this journey through time. Subscribe and let's keep the spirit